My name is Tara Westerman. I'm the former managing director of Vivian Art, and I'm very happy to be joining you here tonight in what will be the first of our four-part series with each of the artists exhibiting in Vivian Art exhibition, Abstraction to the Power of Four. And this exhibition is presented, hi Sarah!
Hi there.
This exhibition is presented in Vivian Art's participation at Art Toronto 2020. And very happy to have Sarah join us for the first iteration of the chats. There's just a bit of background information with you, Sarah. You live and work in Calgary, Alberta, and you hold a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Alberta University of the Arts, where you also teach painting and drawing. And you completed a Master of Fine Arts from Emily Carr University too.
Yes.
So some recent projects include your participation in the White Rabbit Arts Residency and Festival in Nova Scotia, and the Carmichael Canadian Landscape Exhibition at the Aurelia Museum of Art and History in Ontario, a solo exhibition in Arts Commons in Calgary, and a participation inclusion in the Istanbul Design Biennial in Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's wonderful. You've been active.
Yeah.
And your work is held in the collection of the Alberta Foundation for the Arts and numerous private collections too. And just to give everyone encouragement, please feel free to post your questions and participatory remarks as we go through our chat tonight. And if everyone's all ready to go, then I'd like to just get started.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. So I'd like to get into the way you're making your work. So essentially the way you're handling your materials. I hope that most of you joining us have had a chance to see Sarah's work, at least in image. But essentially what you are doing in the most recent years of your practice seems to be creating vibrant color forms with wet and dry media, and then also combination of very loose gestural handling of the paint, but very deliberate mark making too. So for me, the end result is this beautiful color wash, but I know going up close, like the forms seem to be very intentionally, deliberately developed. So I wondered if you could take us through the process with some of your chosen media, if you want to maybe focus on just the production of one you have in mind or something to that effect.
Sure. I mean, I'll start a little bit more generally, actually. I feel like the process starts with a really impulsive decision, usually like just with a color or a shape. And so it's really uncontrolled, chaotic. And then I gradually get more and more controlled, adding more and more detail until I feel satisfied with the work. I have no idea what it's going to look like when I start. And then I slowly complete it through an increasing detail, increasing control.
Okay. Do you have any idea just even where on the page or the board that you start from?
I try to make it in the middle.
Fair. That's okay. I can see that.
Like if I pour water on it, I'm trying to keep it, off the floor and on the paper.
That's okay. You can capture as much of the material.
Yeah. But sometimes I start with a like just a crazy drawing where I just try to have no control whatsoever and try to make it actually obnoxious, sort of.
Obnoxiously uncontrolled.
Yeah.
That works. That's okay. Are the forms that you are working with and developing kind of the same lines? You maybe have a rough idea, but not an end goal for what exactly it has to look like?
Well, right now I'm kind of interested in blobs and parasites. So I'm trying to make like a monster, like a sci-fi monster that could be a creature and also could be a landscape. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want it to be only a creature, only a landscape. I'd like people to think about both, I think.
Yeah, I know that you've talked before about kind of seeing your works as maps or
yes,
some kind of aerial view maybe too.
Yeah. I mean, maps is it's always really interested me, the sort of impossible view of a
Hmm.
place. And, but and I also really like I'd like you to question, is it a map or is it a creature? Um, because it's like this tension between subject and object. Like, is
Hmm.
it a thing or is it a place?
Is there always one way that you hope it goes?
What the way I'd like it to go is for it be both comfortable,
Okay.
uncomfortably actually, I guess.
All right. It's funny because, or maybe not funny, but I know that your exhibition in Calgary was completely sidelined by the current pandemic.
Yeah.
So to have your allusion to like a parasite or a virus, like, did anybody
I
else like
know.
jump into that allusion?
Vivian did.
Yeah, yeah, that seems fair. Yeah, that's okay. Well, it's just apt, It's just what we're
Yeah,
dealing with.
yeah. I know it was just a little too perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably maybe you never even saw them that way before, or maybe you
Uh,
did.
well, I mean, I guess I thought more about parasites than viruses, but honestly, I think about viruses a lot too.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all do.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah. And there's this, I feel like your work kind of branches out into two different veins. You have the works that seem like they're more, there's like a single form, and then
Yeah,
there are these works that are all over kinds of
yeah,
fields.
yeah. It's kind of they're kind of like parallel practices. For simplicity's sake, I call one drawing and one painting.
Hmm.
But I mean, I don't even really know what the difference between drawing and painting is. But yeah, one is more all over, and there are these tiny little brush marks, and the uncontrolled element is just color combinations. And I don't know what the effect of the color combination is going to be, and I'm making decisions as I go.
Hmm.
But they usually start out a little bit more with like a planned underdrawing, and then the drawings are on paper, but there's a lot more like splashing of paint, and then I draw back in with paint or ink or colored pencil as a way to try to control the wildness of the spill.
Do you find that when you're painting, you have to think about the color or the lines a little bit more because it like you have an opaque mark next to another opaque mark. It's almost like more of a like a pointillist consideration, maybe like to
Yeah.
think about how the colors actually react with each other. Do you
Yes.
find it
Yeah.
more free flowing when you're drawing then alternatively?
Well, I mean, almost the drawing's almost even more rigid because I do these little rectangles, and so in that way it's more about line. And yeah, and in the paintings it's more about the color combinations. So I try to think of something, that where I want each brushstroke to stand out um, with from the one that's next to it.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I have to try and I can't explain why that I want to do
I
that,
know.
but I do make decisions based around that so that it doesn't look like I'm making a gradient or I'm blending. I want it to be a line and then a line and then a line.
Hmm.
And you can only really see it when you're far away. Sorry, other way around, but it's like more of like an illusion from far away. And then when you get up close, you can see that there are all these different singular brush strokes.
Hmm. How long have how long have you been working the way that you currently are? That's a very vague question, but I guess in terms of
Right.
like how did you maybe merge into the way you are currently handling? Uh,
Um, yeah. Okay. So I've always, I mean, all through my BFA, I was really interested in mapping, and I made small marks, and I found it really satisfying. But it was more like I was reproducing maps. Um, and then I guess it was, I mean, it's probably been for about 10 years. I realized that I was unnervingly satisfied by repetitive gesture. I didn't know how much I liked it, and I guess it is kind of an obsession with an obsession
Oh,
and a
absolutely.
compulsion, right? Like I can't stop.
It's satisfying. I think it's kind of like organizing, maybe. Like it's just
It is,
like
yeah.
yeah, it is. Okay. I feel you. Oh man. What is the biggest you've ever worked?
Um, oh, I made 6 foot canvases for a coffee shop in Calgary, 2 6 foot canvases in Phil and
I
Sebastian.
was gonna say it is Phil and Sebastian, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was pretty big in that style. I mean, when I was younger, I was like making like blobby, careless paintings. I worked really big. But and then and then another one about like 5 feet by 4 feet is the other one, and yeah, it took a long time.
That's pretty big, that's for sure. And I know that you definitely involve some collage in your works as well.
Yeah.
Or is there a particular source that, or maybe fabric or material that you're introducing, or you're kind of just always happy to
Well,
be on the lookout?
I really like making collage out of my own work. So like making a drawing, cutting it out, and uh, and then another piece of a drawing cut out, and then putting them together. But then I also like I make collages out of maps, and just
Oh,
a
great.
way to underline the concept of the works as place, just to have a mapped a collaged map that I've made these little monsters out of maps. Yeah,
So map's a popular one. It looks like
yeah.
you've been integrating some handmade papers too, or rice papers or so as they look.
Yes. Uh, Fiber artist Barbara Sutherland made a bunch of handmade paper, and I just snatched it all from her. And I love drawing on that paper. I mean, I really always love an uncontrolled element, like a lot of artists do. And in that case, it was the paper so thin. In some cases, it like barely exists. So just drawing on it, I love drawing on that and having painting underneath it.
Yeah, absorbs the material differently too. I'm guessing it must feel
Yeah,
different
yeah,
to work on.
yeah,
No, that's fantastic. It must be exciting when you find something new like that and you just kind of see
yeah,
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. I was really excited to work with that.
Yeah, that's good. And then in terms of your color, which ranges quite a lot. I think at least when I see one work, it looks like a general palette of maybe more blue or more purple orange, and certainly other integrations. But I'm guessing there are independently a lot of colors.
Yeah, I try not to use all colors in one painting. That's kind of, I try to stop myself from using them all. But yeah, I'm really drawn to purple right now. I have an obsession with ultramarine blue. I feel like ultramarine blue could solve all problems.
I agree.
And
That's a really
yeah,
strong color.
yeah. And but then sometimes I want to get really obnoxious with magenta and yeah, a piece I think, yeah, that's up right now at in the show has yellow, and I almost never use yellow, but that's it's really first time for me. Seems like a bold step to use yellow.
I can see that actually, probably more so than a purple or a blue.
Yeah,
I think it just has like more energy included in it or something, or more
yeah,
energy to offer.
yeah. Well,
Certainly as
also
like a
it's less
viewing. Hmm.
it's less versatile because you can't get a full range of value with yellow.
Right.
It's just like really pale.
Yeah. Or I mean, you mix other colors and then it starts to go murky.
Yeah, yeah,
It starts to not look so good. Yeah.
yeah.
No, but it almost is like the color maybe preferences that you've been working with almost become more of it's a color equals vocabulary, like
Yeah,
the palette.
yeah, or even just a habit, I guess, you know?
Yeah. You're just
Um,
comfortable with those ranges.
yeah, well, and I really love turquoise and purple together. I just can't get enough of that.
Yeah.
I think it's the Disney Frozen palette.
Yeah. Or Little Mermaid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very Disney palette. I didn't think about that. No, that makes sense. And they're happy things now too, you know? We need happy, colorful things to look at these days. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. And then, yeah, I know that we had talked about you kind of like these polarities. So yeah, like you can see one of your works from far away and it looks very different, but then you go up close and you see a whole different range of marks, and then a mixture between the organic looking and of course very rigid. I don't have a question here, but I just kind of liked our conversation around these different points of interest and this like tension you can build.
Yeah. Well, and I think the tension comes from not necessarily placing things as polarities, but like a spectrum of, and you said earlier, like a push pull. And yeah, I think that's where the abstraction lies for me, is this the idea of something being a landscape and a figurative work at the same time, or being a macro view and a micro view at the same time, and the kind of ambiguities or confusions or frustrations that surround that, but also there being a comfort in something that can coexist.
If there's ever a point in your working where it looks too much like something recognizable, do you specifically try and like ruin that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, if something's too far, it's almost like like I think about color theory. You just look at your work. If it's too purple, add yellow. If it's too blue, add orange. If it's too this, like pull it back a little bit. Maybe it's because I'm a Libra. I'm not sure, but yeah, like I never want things to be too far in one direction. I try to pull it back. I just realized I forgot to close my door.
Oh yeah, no. But no, that it makes a lot of sense. I know myself personally, I'm always going to be more drawn to something that keeps bringing me back, and maybe it's because I
Yeah.
just haven't figured it out, or because I haven't decided if I like it or not yet. But
Right.
if it can
Yeah.
sustain some kind of visual interest over time, then that's the kind of thing I want to have continued interaction with.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I just don't like being too loud in one direction, you know, like I really like it when you when the viewer is given some agency to really like sit and think about what's happening, and maybe make their own decisions, or use their imagination or something to like, yeah, just have their own thoughts about the work.
Yeah. When you let's say you finish a work and then you leave it for years and come back, does it look completely different to you? Do you see it very like something
Um,
different, or do you remember it, I guess?
yeah, no, I do remember it. And I mean, that's what I love about painting and brushstrokes, is like seeing the character of the mark that was put there. And I don't know, I do remember. I just really like how that those brush marks indicate a presence, a past presence, but it's a life of its own. But yeah, so when I look at old work, yeah, I can remember adding things sometimes, and sometimes I'm wondering, what was I doing? Or in abstract work, seeing something like representational that you didn't intend, and not realizing it.
Yeah. And how has all the COVID been for you in the practice? You find it's been kind of of an assisted respite from other kind of
Well,
activities, or
I well, I think it sucks. Really,
yeah.
I find it really strange. Um, I didn't find it invigorating to my
Mm.
practice, because I didn't, like, my house is full of other people, so I didn't find it was a
Uh-huh.
time to isolate and make work. I feel really jealous of artists that were able to like turn it into a positive and just say, oh, I just got so much work done. And I'm like, oh, I have done nothing.
Yeah. I think it's just it just makes a routine kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help, I'm sure. I know there was a very interesting collage project that you had started.
Oh, actually, thank you for reminding me of that. That was a really positive thing that came out of it. My friend Heather Close, another local artist, we decided to make collages together, like a collaboration that's done separately. So we made each other little bits, little drawn and painted bits, put them in envelopes, and then traded them, and then took the bits and then added to them and made collages out of them. We're really excited about what happened. We're both making. Actually, her work is really figurative and but also like she uses a lot of plants and natural forms. So I think it was a really good fit.
Who got the finished products?
Well, we're trying to figure out what to do with the finished products right now. We'd love to show them somewhere, but I have my four, and she has the ones that she made. So hopefully they get to meet each other.
Yeah, have a group exhibition of them
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Oh, it'll be special. It sounds
Hmm.
like your practices might not have intersected so
Yeah,
readily.
yeah. No, well, we both went to ACAD, Alberta University of the Arts together, so we connected a lot then, and so it was nice to reconnect.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much this is applicable right now, but in regards to the intersection of your teaching with your practice, is that something that kind of changes how you come back into the studio every day? This interaction with other growing artists?
I mean, they're related in methodology, I'd say, but the teaching doesn't really affect my practice other than like teaching. I really like having an uncontrolled element, responding and teaching that way. But otherwise, they're pretty separate. They're both things that I love.
Yeah. And do you have any plans going forward now, like for next works or
Oh,
next focus or?
I I am going to do some works on panel. I
Cool.
have one drawing in colored pencil that I need to finish up. I'm staring at it right now. It haunts me. This is the spot I teach from, and I just look at this unfinished drawing and think, one day I will be with you again.
Just mocks you.
Yes.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I have all of these drawings just on the go. They're all around me in the studio here. And but I find teaching online has been just consuming me, and I'm going to focus on that for a while and hopefully come out on the other side.
No, fair enough. No, I mean, I can only, yeah, teaching in general is probably very difficult. An arts practice, even more so. Online, to translate that must be, an interesting learning curve, I imagine.
Oh yeah, and well,
Yeah,
it just requires 500% more admin than I'm used to.
fair enough. And then, oh, just another question about your work too. Do you work in series or do you kind of work on one at a time? I've always been
Uh,
interested.
I work one at a time. It's a little bit of both, I guess. I do
Hmm.
start. I do the grounds for a bunch of drawings, like a whole bunch at a time, and then I work on each one separately. So actually, 2 years ago, I laid down the base for these drawings that I've been working on, and I guess you could call them a series.
Hmm.
But I'm working on them separately, and so I'll prepare a bunch of supports and then work on those supports separately.
Yeah, makes sense. So they kind of roughly they translate into each other, I guess. Like the next one
Yeah,
would be influenced by the one that came before or how you
yeah,
managed the one before.
yeah.
So no, that's good. I'd like to invite any questions if anybody has any, or else we can very happily keep talking.
Oh
But
yeah.
if anyone is interested in any of the comments that we have thrown back and forth with each other, then please chime in. How do you feel showing with the other three artists in the exhibition at the gallery? Like, do you find similarities with their works?
Oh, I think it's such a really interesting pairing of two artists that work more organically and two who are more geometric. And I think we all play off of each other, or like sit well together is what I mean. What I mean to say, and like what's the reference and like the relative flatness or space, implied space is also really interesting. I can't wait to see the show. I get to see it tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say I've gotten the opportunity having like digital tours of the space,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it looks like the setup is considering exactly that. Like you kind of have this move from like geometric and very loose, and then something in the middle, and then yeah. So I think it has a very nice flow to the setup. Because yeah, you'll be in the gallery tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just
Get
in
to
for
leave
a
the
few
house.
hours. You get to leave the house, get all
Yeah.
dressed up.
I'm gonna have a shower.
You can get Halloweeny. It's Halloween
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Oh,
You have little
yeah.
cat ears.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll go in full costume, just like dressed as a clown.
You dress yourself as like what's the guy that did Art Attacks? Remember? Did you ever see that series?
No. I don't know.
That's okay. Or Bob Ross. You could go as Bob Ross.
Oh, I am Bob Ross. I can get this to be pretty big here.
Oh, but I love that man. He's so good. That you could probably play it off very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, if anybody else has anything to add, then we'll keep on for another couple of minutes or so. But I'm so glad that you were able to come in and have a chat with us tonight.
Yeah. It's really nice to have a conversation. Try to remember what I make work about.
I think you probably learn something new about that every day.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, look, my mom just left an emoji. Hi, Mom.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, yes, thank you so much for tuning in with us, and everyone else who was able to join. I hope you all have a good evening, and yes, happy Halloween tomorrow to everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.